who will be speaking today, Sofiane and Paul Liaspor. I'm not very good with French, so.
Yeah, his name is Dan. So there's myself and Dan as the founders, the co-founders of Ratify. And there is also, I think, Victor that is in our team in here. That is our full stack and security engineer that's joining us.
Okay, I'll start the recording and go into it. Okay, good afternoon to the Wellcoin Talk community. Today we have an AMA with Ratify. Here to speak about the project is Sofiane, Dan and Victor. So yeah, guys, if we could just start with the core team's background and experience with crypto, that'd be great.
I'll let Dan and Victor speak first.
Thanks for having us on, Glenn. Your reputation always precedes you. When we decided to do our first AMA, it was no question that you guys were going to be our first. We've been in the space with Ratify now for over a year. We were on the BSC, and recently we decided to move to ABAX and rebrand ourselves, and we'll give you that whole backstory after the fact. History-wise, on myself, I was fortunate to be in crypto very early on. I started mining Bitcoin in 2013, late 2013. I was the individual that was trying to convince my friends that Bitcoin was going to be the next revolutionary idea. I was buying anti-miners, S2s for $800 a pop, and mine them in my apartment and using the mining machine as heat to heat up my apartment because it was a double use. And fast forward until today, I've just been very fortunate to not only still be in this space, but grow with it at the same time. But that's me kind of in a nutshell. And from there, different entity companies that I own. I'm from the United States. I live in the Northeast, New York City. I own a few different brick and mortar locations. We actually do mine there as well. And then myself and Sofiane, we met about a year and a half ago. And we both came up with the exact same concept and idea that as beautiful as the space is, it can also be very disgusting at the same sense. And we wanted to try to combat that by creating something that has a little bit of a security measure for the common investor that doesn't necessarily know how to read a smart contract, as we saw this wave that was going to be coming. And tokenomics essentially really started in the beginning of March of 2021. And we launched our idea in May of 2021. It took some time to build, and we'll get again through the whole process of how that is as we further along this conversation. And we are where we are today with a complete working model that everyone's able to use now. It is live, and that's how we are where we are right now. Sofiane?
Yes. Again, hi everyone, and it's good to see you. I'm Sofiane. I'm Ratify's project lead and co-founder along with Dan. I'm based in Paris, so I'm French, and yeah, I'm actually going to turn 27 years old in a month. I've spent my past 7 years working abroad, mostly in tech and project management. So I've been working mostly in Ireland, as well in Sweden, Germany, and I had a business in Spain as well. So I early on had a very large desire to, not follow really not follow the highway, as we say in France. I wanted to carve my own road like everyone, and I found a natural appeal with this booming technology that is Web3, that is impacting the lives for the years to come, that I strongly believe, at least. So it became natural to have an interest and become involved in this. And as we know, with the huge adoption in the space that's going on, we know that there's also a lot of opportunities from ill-intended persons. So it became, and I think we all share the frustration of being rugged. We have shared the experience of partaking in a project that has been exploited. And yeah, so I wanted to bring myself and Dan, we wanted to bring our stone to the building, and participate not only in, providing a token and all these sort of things, movement, but to actually build the utilities to build a higher quality in the space. Now, I want people to be, their standards to be raised, and that goes through our products. So yeah, that's for myself. I mean, I'm on the side, I love to play guitar. I'm a gamer as well. I'm actually making my own game as well on the side. But yeah, I have a passion for business, mostly coordinating projects, and yeah, it's a huge passion working with what Ratify is delivering. So yeah, Victor is not going to speak here, so it's going to be only myself and Dan.
Okay, great. Yeah, so let's go into that then. So you launched, was it around 12 months ago on the BSC? And then you've migrated from the BSC to Avalanche. I was wondering why you chose Avalanche and why you decided to move from the BSC to the Avalanche blockchain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we launched last year, the month of May, I'm not sure if everyone remembers, but back in May, there's been our kind of the first market. The markets started to bleed in May. And I remember one of the responsibles that created sort of a panic in small cap coins was in PancakeSwap, and the nature of it being centralized, the few nodes that are being controlled by PancakeSwap, Binance, and some sort. So it sounded a bit strange. I think if we want to create something that's democratized and that's scalable as well, and that's motivated as well by the low gas fees and the transaction speeds that are fast. We were thinking about many other options. So Ethereum, not an option right now because the barrier to entry is pretty high. Gas fees is high, although it's mostly decentralized. Although I would argue with that but that's another subject. But yes, the Binance Smart Chain, I think it's great to onboard new projects. It has a good amount of user base. However, the volumes, if we're talking trading terms, are lower than other chains. I see Avalanche as being a very promising chain later on in terms of scaling. There are subnets, the way that you can infinitely scale the L1 structure in different subnets, gathering your own protocols, your own everything. I think it's very promising. And that's the reason why early on we wanted to bring it in there. There is also, kind of a new movement as well, with especially the DApp creation. And we were looking for something that was also EVM compatible, which means that it's we can use smart contracts in solutions.
Sophia.
I mean, we'll get to that later, but our tool functions primarily on Solidity. Yeah.
Great. I think you cut out slightly when we were talking there, but I got most of that, yeah. So if we can maybe go into the Ratify app, the Pythia, it's an auditing tool that supports 7 different blockchains, top to bottom representation of a contract for investors and projects to look over. I'm wondering sort of,
absolutely,
go into some details how it all works.
Absolutely, yes. So currently, we're adding new chains as we go. but we have 7 major EVM-compatible blockchains that we can analyze, which are Ethereum, the Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche. There's also Phantom, the Polygon network, Arbitrum, and Optimism. I think it's covering a lot already of the existing chains for all active users. And it came with a simple thing, is that we saw everyone can see whether it is a crypto or is an NFT or anything, is that the major ways for people to lose money are through exploits. I mean, you see these exploits of 17 million, and then you see 200 million, and then you see 600 million. It's enormous, and it has very, very adverse consequence, because it reduces the adoption. The idea that people outside what we call new money, outside of crypto, when they see such things, they do not want to venture. The institutions do not want to venture. And in the end, this money currently circulating between people who are already, it's a sort of an insider market. That's not what we obviously all want for the future in blockchain. So bringing security is something needed. And I think one of the obsession that I have is with design. And by design, I mean building a product that is a consumer-ready product, because we have also business products. But for the consumer market, is to create habits, and that go through a very simple UI, something that's very simple with the least minimal steps. So Pythia in some sort is a tool that I'm going to expose also the roadmap of development that currently analyzes any smart contract that is EVM compatible. So that means on the blockchains I've been describing, and that can perform an analysis on the smart contract code, the way that is, we're using best practices, and it's also motivated by machine learning as well. And yeah, it runs it through what is this, basically it outputs what is the safest way to code a smart contract as per the best practice that we use a lot of research papers that when we've done our literature review, and yeah, it's the best practice per the experts in the space. So we put it in a machine learning model, and our tool, we've been building it for a year now, can output the number of high, medium, or low severity issues, as long with the score that's determining basically how, we would not say how safe or unsafe, but it gives pretty much insights for people to know. And they would know also what type of functions is at cause and stuff. However, because this is a consumer-ready product, we obviously don't want to be too precise, as that would consider it an actual audit, which is catered towards Solidity developers, that we can also have as a product. Actually, the engine of Pythia is used both for the consumer-ready product. So when you go to app.theratify.com, you would be able to scan a contract, connect your wallet, etc. And you have the score, and it's saved as well. It's saved for your wallet, so you don't have to pay twice if you want to access back the results. But there's a possibility, as I said, to be audited or to be vetted. And this makes use of the full power of Pythia currently, which basically tells you what you should replace which function with what, as per best practices made by the best experts in Solidity. So that's Pythia in a nutshell, but with many, many other products, many other improvements to make, one of which with Pythia would be the developer wallet tracker, which is basically its on-chain analysis using machine learning as well, that we run a huge data set of projects that have rugged, I would say rugged, I don't like to use that word, but I think we're all familiar with it, projects that have been exploits, rugging, etc. And we focus on the developer, focus on the wallet. And we can build a profile this way over the long term. Of course, this takes time, but we can build a profile as to how fraudulent an activity would be, and how it would be. And that's the big. But then it's more of a metaphysical debate, but we can discuss what is safe, what is unsafe, etc. What can we, as humans, describe what a machine should do? This is a very complicated debate. But yeah, technically, the developer wallet tracker will allow you, the end user, to check any wallet, and it tells you a behavior sheet. You see that kind of behavior is, for those who don't have time to go through so many transactions, hidden transactions, etc. I think it can already give a lot of insights for people. And again, it's built with simplicity in mind. So while the UI might look very simple, there's a lot of things happening on the back end, and it's done by design. We don't want to pollute too much the space and the information with too many gadgets and too much. It would look like a spaceship in the end. And that's not what I believe is going to bring in new money in here. And that's going to push adoption forwards. I think it's simplicity. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's automated auditing, so it's bringing down the operating costs. You've sort of mentioned in the white paper, it will take roughly 24 hours per audit. And I'm wondering, can you do multiple audits?
Absolutely.
Is there a limit to what the software and the app can do? Like a 10 an hour or 100 an hour or unlimited?
Yeah, I mean, as we saw, we can see it more and more, especially with, I personally believe, for example, the NFT space is what is going to bring the adoption forwards, the new money coming in. But again, NFT space is very prone to a lot of exploits, as we've seen with for example, Axie Infinity. But yeah, I believe that our tool currently, it's what we call semi-automated reports that we'll put out, these audits. We want to give ourselves a frame, but technically, it would take less than an hour to audit fully a contract, because what we have to do in the end is just there are a few false positives that we need to take out. There are certain false positives that are regarding, and our tool will learn over time, but let's say a project tells you that they have built their contract this way, which is a product specification, and our tool finds out that it could be a vulnerability, but it has been made by design by the developer, so we need to take that out as it being a false positive. And then again, we still need to express it. So currently, this lead time of 24 hours per audit is more of a safety kind of thing, but technically, as we move on and improve, I mean, this can be infinitely scalable. The end goal for me is to have a one-click, one report out button. You just enter your contract address, preferably whether it is on the testnet, if you have deployed it. Our tool analyzes it, you pay, you get it out, and that's fast. And I think currently a lot of projects that have to wait, I don't know, sometimes 3 days, 4 days for lower end market. For the medium end, it would be like 2 weeks. And then when you go to the higher end, it takes months, only to just get a spot. It takes months and it costs a lot. So obviously with automation, we're bringing the cost down. We're making it more accessible for everyone. Pythia is one way. It's a tool that's consumer ready. It improves a lot of consumer awareness. And then obviously there's an upscale towards the full audits, which in the end benefit everyone. But yeah, to answer your question, it can be scalable. That's as soon as we perfect it. Yeah.
Great. And so our investors are going to be using it to check contracts as well as projects are going to get a quick audit for their project. What will the cost be to the project, and what would it cost for users? Would they need to hold so many tokens, or a subscription based?
So it would be more of a one scan, one payment. We believe that, of course, that might change as we go, as the market moves. I think it's pretty wise to also gauge what the market is doing and how we can stand next to it. Originally, we wanted to bring costs so low, that outrageously low, that it would break the market, and it would set new standards. But then again, you think that people associate as well a value with things that they obviously pay a bit higher, like sort of premiums. They would have the feeling that they're paying for something more. Obviously, we want to change that. Our price, and if we take an express audit in the market, express audits in the lower end, when you say express, I'm really referring to 24 hours or less. It's cost at least $5,000 for the lower end. Our tool is, and I will let you test it, but our full tool, the audit, and we have case studies as well for that. I have a case study that we've done in June of last year of a token that has been exploited, and our tool that was able to find the responsible after a manual check. So we're thinking that a price between 3,000 and 5,000 for less than a 24-hour audit is pretty reasonable, given what's out there, and given how fast and how accurate we could be. I think this is a reasonable price in the auditing sphere. And again, as we go,
and the cost for our tool itself per scan on the retail ready side is roughly around $3 to $4 per scan.
And that gives already quite a lot of insights. Even if you're a Solidity developer and you want to see what's our tool finding, like in broader terms, it's you can already see it for just $3. It's a good test. And then again, we've investigated a token. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you? So maybe my network is cutting a little bit.
Hey, Sophia.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
And then it's I can hear
I'm
you.
not sure. My network might be. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. I say we investigated a token back in June. I think some people might know it's called Matrix Samurai. And we were investigating it because it's been exploited. There was a function in the contract that allowed any person, any other, to just change the reflection fees and therefore get a lot of tokens to sell. So that costed the project about 17 million. They were audited by, and our report is freely available. I can also paste it if you allow me. I don't think I'm able to.
The chat slot. If you send it into the shared chat or over,
I'll send
a
it
DM to me, and I can post it into the main chat.
No problem. Yeah, I'm sending it right here. So there's a case study that we have done manually to check what's people were suggesting the team were at fault, etc. We just found out what happened, and then later on when we put it through our tool. And we found out in seconds that this function was also to blame. And what I've done, this investigation in a week, manually going through transaction, trying to see, within a certain one transaction, you have so many things that happen in between as well. We just found out with that tool that it found out instantly, and it tells you exactly this should be this function instead of that. And so that gave us even more confidence, even though it was like almost 2 months after we started our projects. That was 2 months into the development, so we've had time to perfect it.
Let me paint a picture for you, Glenn, because I'm the person that's kind of like the storyteller here. This project, Matrix Samurai, I went to their community and I spoke to the devs, and I suggested that their source code seemed a little off because I was going to be an investor just in their token. They had a great model. They had a large following, and the amount of Ethereum that was being thrown around was suggesting that it was going to go significantly high. They started at a 2 million market cap, and they pushed all the way within 13 minutes to almost 200 million market cap. It was very, very fast. But I suggested that there were some issues with their source coding, and I wanted to do a full audit with them and help them out. And at that point in time, in June, July of last year, if you had a really great project and was very hyped up, you had a very large chip on your shoulder. They didn't listen to me. What happened. They came back to us right afterwards and said, "You need to help us," because everybody's pointing fingers at the dev team. And of course, none of us, and there were 12 members, 12 separate wallets, claimed that they had no involvement. So I had Sofiane do a 6-day straight auditing process, which he will send you. You'll see how extensive this case study is, working 20 hours a day to determine that the team was not at fault, because we were able to vet out every single one of their wallets and backtrack and circulate from every other action that they've had going back 3 years. But at the same time, we not only found the exploits, but the individuals that were responsible. We submitted the case study reports not only to different cybersecurity departments in Europe, but also the FBI here. When I tell you that was a very large exploit, $7.4 million was ripped off of their ETH function within 4 minutes. It wasn't really seen before, especially in the tokenomics space. And we were, I guess, responsible for determining the fault and why it happened and why it shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Great. And
So
is
how
Pythia being built in-house, or is it a third party? Or
No, built in-house.
fully in-house built. We have a very good developer that's very passionate. He could not attend today, but he's part of our team. Pan is our lead data blockchain analyst, and he's excited. He's obsessed with AI. He's obsessed with data analysis and with blockchain. So yeah, he's the merit goes to him. Really, props to him.
And that beta version of Pythia, when it was ready to start scanning, I was interested to know what the score and what the descriptors or determined severities were going to be from our specific tools. So we ran that existing contract on the back end, because our front end wasn't completed yet. And lo and behold, the exact thing that Sofiane found, the 2 or 3 different exploits that he found manually that took 6 days and 20 plus hours, Pythia found in 20 seconds by clicking a button and paying $3. That's the whole concept behind all of this. This should be a household crypto practice that everyone should simply try to do, because the majority of the common investor, the retail investor, has no idea what they're looking for or what they're essentially doing. They're simply following the herd, unfortunately. They're following what the influencer or the chart or both are telling them what they should do, but yet they know zero about source code. They know zero about finding just the most logical thing of whether or not a contract is verified. And there's so many platforms that are out there that dictate and state that they have a tool to do it, but yet none of them seem to be working properly. We were able to create a concept and then create a model and create a proof of work tool that actually works. And it's constantly learning on every scan that we do, because it stores its memory within our own database that we hold in our servers, which I believe holds, forgot the name of the company, and it's constantly learning because it is an AI-based machine.
awesome. And going over the Pythia, so the charges to the project, you're saying maybe $3,000 to $5,000 for a 24-hour audit. Will they be paying in BUSD, USD, or will the Ratify token be involved? How will it work?
No, I think it would be a support USD C or AVAX kind of concept. That won't necessarily be through the native token, but the scan of Pythia, we currently accept BNB and Ethereum. Shortly, it's going to also be AVAX as well. So you'll be able to pay for those scans, and again, those scans are the front lines of defense. So anyone can go to the ratify.com, go into our Pythia, put in a smart contract. Right now, today, it is live. It has been live. It's been live for months. Just the fact of the matter is that no one knows that we exist yet, but that's surely going to change very soon. And that's a scan that will simply charge you. A lot of people use BNB because of the gas fees, of course. Will charge you only $3.50 per scan, and that gives you a credited score from 0 to 100, and it shows you how many are in different severity lines. And if it's dictating the descriptors, it will show certain descriptors that were able to be scanned and picked up.
Yeah, and I might add just one thing as well, is that 50% of what is made from the revenue made from Pythia, 50% of it goes towards buying on the chart and restricting the supply. So that has also utility.
And it'll get to a point, you're absolutely right, and it'll get to a point where, you know, the buying the charts and then allocating, whether it's in a burn aspect, until we are at a stable circulation. And then from there, then there will be a decision of where that revenue stream is going to flow into after the fact. It could be into the marketing aspect more, to bring more awareness. It could be for larger growth. It could be for expanding the company, for employees basis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So the 50%, some of it's going to go into buyback and burns. Will that be taxed? So because I know you've got 6% USDC rewards for investors in the Ratify token.
Yes. So the buyback of the tool will not be impacted. It will just help in actually reducing the supply, while also bringing more stability. When you take out more tokens out of the circulation, it would make it a bit more stable, I think, over time. Our specific tokenomics, I think we can get down to this because it's very exciting what we've built, and it also it's made with a larger picture in mind, which is because we want to help democratize best practices in the space, but also push for more adoption, etc. We were thinking about also what can be considered a rug as well. A rug can also be something that's not responsible by the dev. It can be a group of whales that just dumps on it, or some people getting insider info, etc. And they would just dump most of the value of the token. And we're building, so what we've built, and I think you've been mentioning it early on, is that, for example, there's currently 82% of our total supply that's out of the circulation. Now, when we're taking out just the coins that you can trade in, that are in people's wallets, that are not locked, it's a very, very low amount. It's 18%. So our framework, our contract framework, we're doing it with something in mind as well, is to accompany, help people who are in need of new tokenomics or new utilities and launch them, basically help to launch them over time with our staking utility, for example, or you can transpose it in NFTs as well. It works perfectly great as well. So it's building all these small pieces of technology to slowly influence this space as it goes. And in the end, what we're seeing for our token, we're stablecoin based, so it's not fluctuating. It's only fluctuating with our own performance, not necessarily impacted by whether it is Avalanche, whether it is Ethereum or BNB pumping or dumping. It's really dependent on how much liquidity is brought in. Our dividend rewards, what we call the 6% rewards that goes to other people, it is something that I have not seen. So while USDC rewards exist, the way that it's done doesn't exist out there, at least not that I'm aware of. I think it would be in your questions later on. I'm not sure, but if it's not, I can explain it.
Just moving back to the Ratify out there, 5 year first, 5th year, should I say? It's my Northern English accent, I think. Wrong.
That's fine.
Is projects going to need to KYC around making a,
Well, we're undergoing a incorporation in Portugal, in Lisbon. So while that's done, we cannot allow ourselves to check any people's identities or anything. But in the end, for the launch pad down the roadmap, yes, that is also an added security, of course. People would love to invest in something that has been KYC'd. So yeah, over the time, there will be something that we want to do. But currently, in the short term, medium term, we just cannot allow ourselves. We need to go through a lot of regulations. We need to go through. First, the incorporation needs to finish, which should be happening in the next weeks. But yeah, after that, yes, that's down the road, definitely.
Saying that you were moving to Portugal and going to have an incorporated company based in Lisbon, I was wondering if you chose Portugal partly because there's a 0% tax on crypto.
Yes, and not only. Yeah, because the tax, the laws basically that are in crypto in Europe. I love Europe. I've always been European. I've never thought about leaving outside of Europe. Just for its quality of life, if it's free movement within Europe, trade laws, etc. And I think that Portugal is at the forefront of whether it is Web3 innovation, but also you might know that a lot of companies from the US are moving slowly to Portugal. It's becoming a hub, just like Dubai is, but in Europe. And the thing why I'm in favor of that in Europe is because obviously it's a perfect bridge, between the institutions that are in Europe that can be a bit more restrictive, as opposed to in Dubai where it's completely free for all and we never know what can happen later on. So it's good to, yes, while there's a 0% tax in crypto, it's fantastic to bring in people in, to push innovation, to make it simpler for you to create a business over there, to hire more people, to scale. It's definitely a booster, yeah. And let's also face it that Portugal is a beautiful country with a very good quality of life, good people, and good food, and there's also all these sort of motivating choices that keep push us, at least me. And we have also, our founder is also Portuguese in origin. So there's all these sort of things that, bring in something, it's very familiar, let's say.
Yeah, don't depress me. I'm stuck in the UK, so I've lost my rights to work and live in 27 countries now. Unfortunately, it's a nightmare. So let's go into, you were saying like 82% of the holders have locked their tokens. I'm wondering what the average time they've locked for, and for new investors, if there's locked, unlocked staking, how it works. I think you get bonuses as well for locking on the Ratify staking platform.
Exactly. So in our token, so any transaction, whether it is a transfer, a buy, or a sell, is taxed. So we have two ways to tax them. Right? We have the way where if people buy through our swap, we have created our own swap with our own rules. It's a 10% transactional tax. And what it does is that it taxes upfront. So that means that before the buy is made, so before it converts it to tokens, the USDC, so the 10% in that case of USDC is taken, which obviously it makes it so that when I've investigated, so I'm making a little parenthesis here, but when I investigated a lot of other tokens, I could see that they also offered this dividend rewards, and rewards in Doge, rewards in BNB, blah, blah, blah. But then you see how they do it, how they fuel their utility. And what happens is that they all, I mean, all of them really, and because again, it's people, a lot of people are copy and pasting contracts, they're not making their own. So all are collecting the tokens. So when you are buying, selling on their tokens, it's collected, and until a threshold is met, so it can be, they put the value, it's in the contract. And when the token value, when the number of token is reached, the contract sells. So you see a big dip. That's not a consumer dip. It's not investors selling. That's just the contract to fuel the utilities. Whether it is they have those rewards, whether they have this marketing and stuff. So we are doing it dynamically. For each transaction, it's done automatically. So our swap, it doesn't happen in there. You get your tokens, but beforehand we take the tax. So that means that there's no sell on the contract. There's nothing that's happening. It goes to the collection wallet. 50% of that goes towards the dividends pool for the rewards, and the other 50% goes to operations. So we have servers, we have new people to onboard, and we have devs to pay. So this is used for that. We have marketing also to pay for the token, etc. So that's one side. That's to buy through our swap. The other side, if you're buying through Trader Joe, which is like one of the main Avalanche networks DEX, decentralized exchange, it's a 12% tax on buys and sales, also wallet-to-wallet transfers. It's done slightly different. So in Trader Joe, because they use their own router, you buy, you get your tokens, and we tax it before you get it. That's how it happens. The thing is that instead of collecting it, it just dynamically sells. So whether I buy 10 USD worth of Ratify, the contract immediately sells it. And this, over the long time, it reduced first when we talk about investment in crypto, we really underestimate the psychological factor of charts. It's investment in early stages is very emotional. So when people are looking at charts that make fake kind of, it's not very precise technical analysis. There's not really any rules. It's mostly psychological. You're seeing a huge red candle in the chart at a time where volume is low, because there's these other tokens have these token collection functions. It can deter anyone. It can deter anyone from buying, because they think that they're gonna get dumped on or anything, or people are uneducated a little bit. And if there is a low volume, this kills the token. I've seen so many tokens out there that are being killed. So when you have it, you're having it in a dynamic way, it just looks like a normal chart. You get the amount of tokens that you're supposed to buy. There's just a tiny cell that's associated to the transaction. But yeah, it's in the end, it just looks like a normal functioning chart, except that you don't have a huge red candle that can deter anyone. That's basically why we've done it, and the way that it looks, coupled with a stable coin pair, it looks much more stable, and it gives much more hope. And that we hope that this framework can be transposed in other tokens to whether they all have utilities to pay for, right? And the way that they do it is that it's short-lived. So if they can use our framework, that'd be all the best. That will be fueling people's utilities and helping, in the end, the space as it all, with more successful investments.
Great. And with the buy and sell tax, the 6% USDC rewards, I'm wondering if you need to have so many tokens, and did you say there's a USDC bonus if you lock them, or do you get like reflections in the
yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I'm structuring when you ask a question, I was structuring it with different I needed to explain the background. So yes, when you have the 6%, it goes towards the dividends pool, and that dividends pool, so we have a token that's not liquid, there's no liquidity with it, it's just an indicator that is called D-Ratify, dividends ratify. And for each USDC that you're buying, you're getting one D-Ratify. why are we doing this? Is because, again, we believe that people who stake early or late should always get the same rewards for the value of the USD they have. In most of, we've seen since October, November, a hype of Olympus forks. We've seen it where people are staking with 100,000, 200,000% APY. And it's benefiting a lot of people who are buying first, which is, it's pretty much the definition of a Ponzi, so to say. We want to reward people who also buy at the top, and they would be able to claim the same amount of dividends as someone who buys at the bottom. So this system, it does not reward people by early or later. Again, it pushes people to continuously buy, not being scared, waiting for a lower point. If the goal is to get those dividends. So 6% of the volume goes towards a dividends pool. It's split amongst equally, proportionally, to people's holdings. So if you buy 10,000 USDC worth of Ratify at the bottom or at the top, you're still going to get 10,000 de-Ratify. So that calculates your share in the pool. And so if, let's say, you have bought a lot of Ratify, right, and it's worth 100 grand, and that those 100 grand, you get 100 grand of de-Ratify, and that is worth like 10% of the dividends pool. Well, you're getting 10% of all the rewards that are coming. So over the long term, coupled with good communication, good marketing, product delivery, which we are doing, this makes it much easier to hold and to stake. And because the longer you stake, as I said, you have a bonus, a multiplier bonus of de-Ratify. So the longer you stake, obviously you have to lock your tokens, and this is why people have been locking. 72% of the airdrop people have been locking their tokens for dividend rewards, and which makes, when you see that most of our whales have been locking their tokens, and anyone who wants to buy in, they'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to get dumped on by a whale. It's great. And when you stake, obviously you get those rewards in USDC over the long term of the year. It can surpass your investment. You're in profit just from the dividends. And again, that goes with the mindset in mind to impact and to set a standards, make it easier for people to buy in for staking, a fairer model, and without having the fright of being dumped on. So that reduces all these risks. It's a lot of risk mitigation through these tokenomics. And yeah, again, the longer you stake, the higher your de-Ratify is. So if you purchase, for example, again, 100 USDC, usually you get 100 de-Ratify. But if you stake them for longer, we have a 15-day, 30-day, 45, and 90-day lock. Well, the 90-day lock, for example, comes at 140% multiplier. So instead of getting 100 USDC, you get 140% more. So that also increases your share of the pool. So when there's volume to come, obviously you're getting from the 6% tax, you're getting your share from that. And that just makes it in practice makes it easier to hold on to your tokens and to support the team and to eventually, prevent any unwanted exits. And yeah, that was done with this in mind.
Great. And going back to the Pafia app, I'm wondering, is it web-based at the moment, or is it going to iOS and Android in the future as well?
Yeah, currently it's a web application. It's also on mobiles. It's responsive. But down the road, yes, I've been working. Actually, it's funny you mentioned, but I've been working at Apple for 2 years, from 2015 to 2017, and I have, let's say, I have connections with developer to onboard the apps, which would make it a bit simpler. But that's down the road, of course. We want our tool currently, we consider it to be a beta because it does not have all the functionalities we want it to have. Like I told you, the developer wallet tracker, etc. although it's a fully workable, it's a fully workable product. It works completely for the audits. It's fully functional, but there's more functionalities that we want to add before we can do so. I think it reduces the margin of error with bugs, and currently, you know, I'm also thinking, because I need to have a project management and a business outlook with that, is that I need always to think about human resources. You know, our team is currently functioning on an agile method. You know, we're having cycles of development of 4 weeks, where we push constantly every 4 weeks, whether it is a technical or a marketing update. And this makes it that so that we can push things on a roll. It's taken me months to put that structure in place so that it can roll. Now that we're starting with this AMA being the first of our marketing campaign, we were ready to do so. So I don't want to allocate too much time for these kind of things. But yes, I agree with you that putting it also readily available as an app is also very important. And it's also even better because technically Pythia is not an investment tool. It's not, because, you know, there's restriction with crypto apps on the iOS or Android. But it's a data analysis app. This is we're checking contracts. So yeah, that's a very good idea. That's something we thought. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was very impressed with it when I read the white paper. It's a great utility. With the Pythia app, I'm wondering the timeline for when it's going to launch for platforms to do their audits on, and what marketing plans you have to get the get the word of mouth out there, so investors and projects know about the auditing.
So absolutely. So as you said, as we've said, we have this 4 weeks development cycles, and we are currently in our first cycle. It's been almost 2 weeks in, but our main priority is to have that automated platform for audits. We want to enable people to, especially project owners, to get audited as fast as possible. Currently, we can take in audits. We have the structure for it. It's just going to take slightly more time until our semi-automated platform is made. Yeah. So by semi-automated, I mean you go to our website, you enter your specifications, you enter the contract address of your token in the testnet, and it's run with our tool. We receive the report internally. We make sure that there is no false positives. We take them out if there are, or we put disclaimers. And when it comes with the payment, it's done, and then we give it to the consumer. That's expected to within the next next 2 weeks to the next 4 weeks to come. That's our main priority right now to launch this. But yeah, as I said, we currently can take audits, and we're happy to run you through our methodology and how we work.
Great. I'll move to investor questions in a minute. We've got lots of hands up. I was just wondering if you're going to have like a league table as hundreds of projects come in, the top, like a league table of the ones that have passed with a very high score. Are you doing it like, and then is there a fail rate, sort of, what's the 70 to 100%, or how does it work on the rating?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question, because you just cut a little bit? I could not hear your question fully.
Yeah, I'm looking at, when hundreds of projects have had an audit, if they'll be kept in like a database for the top projects that passed with the highest scores, and is it based like, is there a fail rate if it's below a certain level, or if the contract fails, how does that work for the
For the scoring system, we're taking out the auditing. We're just talking about the $3 a scan Pythia, right? So when people are scanning the tokens and stuff, it's a very good question that you're asking, because as being a blockchain security data analyst company, it's important not to put judgment that is arbitrary. We let the end user make up their mind, and it's not only a philosophical decision. It's I think it's what's fair. we give the tool. Basically, our score is based on a number of descriptors that we've selected, and based off the best practices in the space to let you know basically what's the quality of it. But we do not save something safe, unsafe, good, ungood. Obviously, we wouldn't. I mean, it's logical to know that anything under 50%, for example, is something to look twice, or to at least investigate. But something that's 70% and higher, and generally, as per the best practice in solidity writing, it reduces the margin of a number of exploits that happened. The lead table is I'd say it's quite it's pretty interesting, but I'm not sure that I want people to compete over that. I don't know. That's a good idea, because you remind me that we're about to drop a big report of the whole space, of the whole blockchain space, like how vulnerable the space is, the whole crypto, all the tokens being run with our tool. And we would put out figures about, in the Ethereum blockchain, there's this many amount that is vulnerable to high exploits, and in this space, and it gives a broader awareness of how the space is currently and how badly it is in need of a change. So that is kind of close to what you were referring to, but we are working on this. Like,
if there was a database of hundreds of projects that have got an audit review, investors could just go into the database and see how everyone scored, and there could be like a tier system of gold, silver, bronze. If the project got 90
for the audits. You're meaning for the audits? This has always got to be with the express, the expressed. So I'm thinking in French at the moment, so it's very confusing. Sorry, but yeah, with the agreement of the project owners, whether they desire to be public or not, that's always something that we respect, that privacy. But yeah, all the reports that we put out, they can make whatever they want from it, and if we have their agreement, we will put it, of course, in a list of the best actors, the best people to follow. Basically, in these practices, it's important. I think a lot of solidity auditing companies are also doing so. So yeah, I mean, that's something that we do. Our scores, all of our scores, are already stored in the database as well for the user, so they can access it. They can access their scans history as well. But what you're mentioning specifically, it's a very good idea. And that's what we're doing for the audits, again, with the expressed agreement of the project owner.
Awesome. Let's open it up to investor questions. Syed, you had a question for the Ratify team here. Go ahead, Sofiane or Dan.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. I had a few questions, but as we are running out of time, so we'll ask only one. So on your white paper, I've read that you have plan of creating escrow-based platform. So can you briefly tell us about that? How will that work out in future?
We cannot talk too much about it, but as you know, I mean, there's something that I think a lot of people have thought, and if you've been, if you have been involved in the space, you have run into people that advertise services that they do not deliver, and you were thinking, is there a way for the funds to be held somewhere while the project is delivered, and when it's done, it's released by a trustless way, and we're basically, it's down in our roadmap. You can call it a Fiverr for crypto, but that's technically what it is. Having a platform to put people accountable for their action if they're misbehaving, if they're running away with funds, but making sure as well that the people who are doing the work are also getting paid. It goes both ways, and also you have a recommendation-based system. You have so you can see basically who is the best in this, and over the time it's going to bring a more qualitative space. There is going to be an increased quality, whether it is graphics, whether it is a website, whether it is contracts, whether anything, and everything would be, of course, vetted by us. because we're offering services that is manual, that is vetting. The investigation I've done for Matrix Samurai, for example, it's 20 pages long. And we can do so for projects who need to be fully audited, fully vetted. Like I was snooping through everything, like the proper audit of any company. That's also something that we can provide. But yeah, all of this for the Fiverr crypto, if you can call it such, this is a very, very exciting thing that I think again goes with our vision of making this space safer.
Awesome. Thank you for explaining that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Sia.
Okay, let's move to Aisha. Aisha, you had a question for the Ratify team. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. I want to know that will only the project teams or creators will be able to use Pythia audit tool, or investors will also be able to have access to the Pythia to vet any project before making investment?
Yeah, I mean, currently, if you go to app.theratify.com, all the links will be posted. You can already scan contracts and you have a score. It's readily available. It's consumer ready. And our auditing, we can already audit contracts, but the way to automate it is currently being built and is going to come between the next 2 to 4 weeks to come.
Don't know if we lost Aisha there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you. Okay, one more quick question. I want to understand that how is Pythia automated system different from other automated tool that other audit firms are using, like Interfi Network?
I mean, again, as you said, a lot are trying to do the same, but function on different principles. What we've spent a lot of our time on, and this is a very metaphysical debate, is to where does a human intervention come with AI? How do you translate data? And this is what we're doing differently, probably, is that when running the machine learning models, we're using the best practices of really the experts in the space, like scientific. We went through scientific reviews in Solidity. We went through a lot of literature to be able to build what is the most neutral, but also considered to be the most precise in terms of analysis. So yeah, there's a lot of tools that are using already. A lot of third parties actually coming from research are using a lot of third parties, and they're using a method called formal verification as well. It's probably one of the most popular, but we've made it different in those aspects. In first, in how do we consider where does the human come in AI? How do we train it, and how do we translate the data? That's really what we're doing different. And in the end, that's with our case study, for example, of Matrix Samurai, that's what helped us to find these vulnerabilities in the end, in seconds.
Okay, got it. Thank you for explaining. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Aisha. You're welcome.
Okay, let's take one more. Venice, you had a question for the Ratify team. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Glenn. So my question is, as you guys have a machine learning based auditing tool, so for training your machine learning model, you would have needed a massive amount of data with balanced classification. I want to know, how have you gathered the balanced data set containing information related to scam project and potential project to train your model so it can't make a biased decision? And on what features this machine learning model labels any project as a scam?
No, we do not label anything as a scam or not a scam. It's something that we're very, very careful first. But yeah, the available data, like all these data sets, come directly. Mostly, I mean, it's readily available. There's plenty of data already on the blockchain, and it comes mostly what you see on Etherscan, for example, with all you can see all the contracts that is in there, and we can export them directly by doing API calls from Etherscan, which costs a lot of money to train and a lot of time. So it's massive, as you said, and it's ongoing as well. And it's ongoing as well with contracts that we haven't scanned yet, new contracts. Yeah, and as we go, as I said, we'll be focusing on on-chain transactions. So as they happen, we will analyze them. I would be very happy to take your details because we have our developer who could not, like our lead data blockchain analyst, that is also very qualified to answer your question in full details. So if we can keep contacts, I'll be glad really to let you have a speak with him.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Sufyan, for answering this. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Venice. You're welcome.
Okay, I think I've just got one more question. It's a very exciting and interesting project. I'm wondering if the automated audits is if you're going to be first to market or if there's any competition out there.
I mean, the auditing space and security space is quite a red ocean, let's say. It's the new fad, and we've been at it for a year already of silent building, and that's all we want to do is mostly building, and now we're, I think, ready to start to talk about ourselves. And it goes through many different axes. There's these kind of AMAs that we're having right now. There's also this report of the whole space, of how safe it is, unsafe. There's these funnels that we're doing. And again, while everything is trying to do the same, the methods, the reach, the costs, everything is different. And because our operation costs are so low, brought thanks to automation, we're able to move much faster than certain giants. So I'd say right now it's kind of a race. Like I would really think it's like the late 90s, with internet. I'd say like you'd have a lot of companies that are going to take on the MySpace of today. So, and then we are one of them. So yeah.
Yeah, automation is always fascinating. I think there's some law packages out there, and you can sort of type it in, and it'll tell you all sorts of laws for different countries, and so it's an exciting space going forward, cutting out the middleman or human and moving to artificial intelligence. It's been great speaking to the Ratify team today. It's a really promising project. It was exciting when I read the white paper, and I'm looking forward to the future for the Ratify team and the community. In the main chat, we've got the socials. So we've got Telegram there, Twitter, and the website if you want to go and check it out. It seems a great project for our investors to hear today. I'm glad you came here first for an AMA. Sophia and Dan, and it's been great speaking to you today. I'll finish the record. Thank you. I'll finish the record and send a copy over for you to share with your team and community. And and I'll put that in our main chat for our members and investors. Thank you very much for coming, guys.
Perfect. Thank you, Glenn.
Lovely. Thank you, Glenn.